Welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel, guys. Today we're having a look at the new Rupes DA microfiber pads. Okay, now first thing to understand is what you have available. You have blue pads, coarse. You have yellow pads, fine cutting or polishing, and then ultra fine finishing, and these mate up to the three main DA abrasives: DA coarse, DA fine, Uno pure. Okay, and they're all pure abrasives, so after you've used them, you remove them from the panel wipe down, and you've got a clean, material free surface. So that's the first thing to understand. At the time that I shoot these videos, they're available in these 3-inch sizes, for the 3-inch millis, your HLR 75 or your LHR 75E. They're available in the 5-inch side, so for your standard dual action polisher like the LHR 15 Mark III. And they also come in 6-inch if you want to put the larger plates on your DA polishers, okay? I believe later on down the line they will also be available in the 40 and 70mm for the hybrid nano or nano, mini polishing tools in general. So Rupes tend to have you covered on every single size, which is the first thing. Now, very easy to understand the Rupes polishing system, blue, yellow, white. And as well as having microfiber, we've covered their foam. So they've got coarse, medium or polishing, and fine polishing. And again, available in all sizes: 6-inch, 5-inch, 3-inch, and 70mm and 40mm for the hybrid. And you can see the rough prices of those. The 5-inch, $7.95. That's what we're all interested in. I've just put the 6-inch there. And then for these smaller 3-inch pads, £6.25. Okay, and we can have a look at the microfiber ones. So they're a little bit more expensive. Prices vary as well, so always shop around, and you can buy bulk, I think, on these pads. So the 5-inch microfiber is $11.50, but still a good price, and the 3-inch is £7. So microfiber pads typically cost more than foam pads as well. That's another thing we need to cover here. Why? Well, you're getting the same as a foam pad, the backing and the foam, but with the microfiber sort of on top. So there's a little bit more going on. And finally, to understand the Rupes, pads, they have the wool ones. Now you have the coarse blue. And again, they come in 5-inch, 6-inch, and you can see the prices there. They're a little bit cheaper, about £1 cheaper than the microfiber. But the small pad is expensive for some reason. That could have just been where I was getting the prices from. And these are also available in the small sizes for the nano. Key thing to understand with the wool is you have the coarse blue, which makes up to the coarse polish, the yellow wool, which makes up to the yellow polish, and there's no white wool. So you could use the white foam to finish out with, which is what I've been doing. But I suppose now you've got an option of using the microfiber pads. So what is microfiber all about? Now, historically, microfiber, I think, became popular for use on dual action polishers because it could up the amount of cut over a foam pad without introducing the amount of haze from a wool pad. That was, I think, why they become popular. But basically, people liked using them because of the cut. Now, we're going to give you some data around all of this as well, because we know what the data's like on these from the previous video we did on these pads. I think this pad introduces about 17 units of haze on our test panel. I will tell you some other things. That the most coarsest foam pad in the blue line cannot cut as well as the coarse microfiber pad or the coarse blue wool pad, or possibly even, I think even the yellow wool pad will probably outcut this from what I've seen. I don't know about the microfiber, not tested that enough, just had a play around with it now. So you can get better cut from these two materials. Now, what's the disadvantage with microfiber? Well, I'll give you another advantage. I think if you look after these pads, they're harder to overheat. You work a bit wetter with them, so you can use a lot more product. They definitely need full priming because you don't want to leave any dry areas, because same with wool, if you don't prime the entire surface, it can mar more. So the better you prime it, the truer the finish kind of thing. That comes more into play. Well, not too worried about that. What else are the advantages and disadvantages? Well, a lot of professionals like to blow these out with air to really, you know, like you can brush them out. But if you really get into them with compressed air, you can really get all of the polish out. You can still clean them the same way if you don't have compressed air. You just, after each set, you can whiz them over the brush, and then at the end of the day flush them out with water, and that's fine. This one here has been flushed out. That's transfer in there, not dirt. It's wet, it's sort of damp, but it won't take long to dry. I compress them still in a clean towel and squash them all out, and then they're nearly there. So there is a little bit of a management disadvantage, I guess. I also think that you won't get the surface delamination. You know, when a foam pad starts to fail, if you work it too hard, you know, the surface will start crumbling eventually because it's foam, whereas the microfiber will probably go on a bit longer and take a little bit more of a hammering. So there is that advantage. Another disadvantage, though, is that they cost more. Now, another disadvantage really is that you're not going to use microfiber. You're going to use these on dual action machines primarily, whereas the wool, those wools work really well on rotary. You can use these on rotary as well, but these are with the hole in the middle. They're primarily DA when they're cone shaped as well. So there we go. There's some of the strengths and weaknesses, guys. Let's go and have a look at the data. So we busted out our Gonio photometer. We went over this entire panel with DA coarse and that pad there, so the blue wool, just to give us an even starting point and get rid of anything that was on there. And then we polished up and down in channels with the 3-inch mini, and we used the blue microfiber, the yellow and the white, and we teamed them up with the coarse compound, the fine compound and the ultra compound. Some interesting results actually. This parallels what I had before when I tested the wool. The difference is the blue microfiber, the haze is a lot less than the wool haze, so that's quite a good sign. So it doesn't introduce quite as much haze as the wool. The yellow microfiber had ridiculously low haze. And if we look, this actually is gloss paint, which is not good actually. I'm going to get this redone with clear coat. But I can tell from the amount of transfer left in the pad that the kind of blue wool, you can see the difference, actually pulls more material from there, so it cuts more. And the white, there was very little transfer. I made sure to really prime these pads as well, so we're getting a proper representation of the performance. So quite good gloss performance from the blue pad. So that's really interesting. The yellow increased the gloss and radically reduced the haze. The R specs are also similar. We can rule out R spec. That's like a precise gloss reading of a tiny, that's more texture sensitive. The strange one is the white product had lower gloss and higher haze, which you wouldn't expect. And I think the reason was it just couldn't cut this paintwork. You can see the stripe where we had the tape. So that's the surface it was having to work on. It couldn't improve that paintwork as well as the yellow microfiber, which did a lot more removal. So maybe I'd have needed to carry on going with that. Or maybe it's the combination of the white pad and the very fine Uno product just wasn't ideal for removing the harsh haze from this weird paint. But we always learn stuff. So the thing that's really impressed me the most, I think, is I would say probably the yellow in the middle, because of the cut wasn't that far off, but the gloss, the haze is incredibly low. That's in line with foam, I think. So that's really good. So there is a slight improvement over the wool with the hazing. So the final thing really, guys, we covered all the prices, we've covered all the sizes. One thing with foam that I really like, why I've always been a foam user, is that they're thick and they take up the contours of the panel. I really like this Rupes yellow. It softens down when you use it, you know, and you really give it a hammering. But it's so nice at taking up all the curves. But the thickness difference isn't that far off. So there is a difference. Like the foam pad will still take up the panel nicer, but this will still go over it. You can really get into the paint with it. So you have to make a choice: wool, foam, or microfiber. Some guys might pick bits of each. The wool is very tempting. This stuff is just incredible. Like, that's just got so much cut when you come across hard paint that's really swirled. It's just such a good option. That's a really good option we used on Audi paint where we needed to single stage it and we only had time to do one set. That's a really good option, and it leaves an acceptable level of finish, and then you can finish out with the whites. That is a really good way to go. The yellow foam pad, I think, for me is almost a must-have. I would say that the microfiber pads have rendered these blue foam course pads, they just can't compete with the cut for me. So you could look to alternate between. You could look to go with blue microfiber to cut, and then you could finish out with yellow or whites, or you could go down this wool route. The advantage would be save a little bit of money, and that does work well on rotary. It sits down nice. So there you go, guys. That is the Rupes new microfiber DAs. I'm not a microfiber user, so put in the comments why you use them and what you think the advantages are. Let me know if you've used them, what you think. Otherwise, I would encourage you to try them, guys. I'll put links in the description where you can get them. And you should also probably team them up with the correct polishes, and you know, have a watch of the Rupes videos on the DA kits as well, to how to use these polishes properly and the sort of set times and all that sort of stuff. So thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon on the Forensics Detailing channel.
Holding on to what I knew, but the moment's gone. Where was I when